With each new week, this notion of a solo RIA running on a fleet of AI agents that service back office and middle office operations become more and more realistic because of upgrades like Claude Skills. That's what you're looking at right now on the screen. You should think of Claude Skills as a way for you to integrate your domain expertise into an AI chatbot safely and securely, right? That's essentially what Claude Skills lets you do. So Claude is a chatbot. You may have used it, you may have not used it, but it's pretty incredible. You can run all sorts of workflows within Claude, just within the chatbot itself. Claude has increasingly been building capabilities and connectors that bring external data into Claude so you can do cool stuff with it, because AI without data is really useless. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can, trigger skills for a specific workflow. And then I'm going to use an example of advisor onboarding. So if you look at traditional advisor onboarding, there's a lot of time that goes into onboarding a new advisor to a new firm. There's, documentation, there's specific email templates that need to be sent out to clients, and a host of other materials that need to be generated. Claude Skills lets you create Excel files. It lets you create PowerPoint presentations. It lets you create Google Docs. It lets you extract and analyze PDFs, and even lets you form fill on PDFs. So Skills lets you take an existing procedure that you've been doing manually inside your firm, and you get to tell AI and tell Claude how to upload it as a skill. So the way Claude has been designed, this is a bit technical, but it's important for you to understand. But Claude right now is designed to be like a virtual machine. So what that means is that when you interact with Claude, it has a set of file directories. So it has a directory of files, and go and reference those files to run specific work. So you can have several skills. You can have like 50 skills, 60 skills, and each skill will have a title and a description, right? It's called a YAML file or a YAML front matter description. Basically, in non-technical terms, what that really means is that it gives Claude context of what is in each skill. So you can see over here, I have different skills for my own workflows, right? I have a PPT skill. I have an RIA client onboarding, discovering RIA AUM skill. So if I want to find the AUM of a specific RIA, I ask Claude, and it triggers the skill and it provides the output for me, right? So you can have all these different skills, and you can upload skills as well, right? So I'll show you exactly how you can do that using an actual example. But this is really going to be a game changer for the way you run your work within these AI chatbots. Just a few disclosures: you always have to turn code execution on, because Claude is going to run actual code scripts to produce the output for you when it's using skills. So make sure you always turn code execution on. All right, so let's use an example of a advisor onboarding workflow, right? So over here, I've given a very specific prompt, and I say, I have the prompt within delimiters. I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's always helpful to put your prompt within delimiters. It gives Claude really clear instructions, and it helps structure your prompt in a better way for AI to consume it. All right. So I said, use a client onboarding skill. You can see right there in delimiters. You can do it differently. I'm pretty sure Claude can pick it up either ways. But I gave it very specific instructions about this advisor that's being recruited from Merrill. Now, this is a synthetic client. This is not a real advisor. I just want to disclose that. This is just an example use case. But you can see over here, there are very clear instructions about her and what we need from the client onboarding skill. We need a welcome email, right? We need a client re-onboarding checklist. We need systems training and compliance. We need template emails for her to customize for different client segments. So if you think about, if you're an aggregator, or if you're an RIA that's acquiring a lot of firms, you want to quickly transfer your internal processes to the acquiring firm so that they can run these workflows really fast and make sure everything is on track, and communications especially is on brand and within your guidelines. So this can help save a ton of time. I think this typically would take about 8 to 10 hours, but within Claude, I think you can do it within a few minutes. So let's see how the workflow actually works, right? So the AI went on. Claude has, started reviewing the client onboarding skill to ensure we follow best practices. So it's reading the onboarding skill, right? And you can see over here, it's reading the RIA client onboarding skill to ensure best practices. So you can see, like I said, it's looking at all these different files. Claude is like a virtual machine now, and you can give it tons of skills, and it can store all this information in directories. And each skill Each skill file, it's called skill.md, which is essentially the name of the file, which is really a mark file that has, you can upload resources to it. You can upload different files, that give information about that specific skill. You can code script, so it can run the actual script of the code. Any kind of knowledge that you want the skill to have. You can upload all these things to a skill and give it to Claude, and it'll consume all that information whenever necessary. One technical note here is that it uses a progressive disclosure architecture. What that really means is that it only gives Claude enough context to run the actual work, right? So for example, let's assume that you have a client onboarding skill within Claude, right? You might have different files under the client onboarding skill depending on who your target client is or which specific type of client is being onboarded, right? So Claude does not take all that information from all those files in one shot. It determines what type of client you want to onboard and then triggers a very specific file that's relevant for that specific client, right? So it's consuming less amount of tokens, and it's more efficient in that sense, right? Same thing applies for like skills. You can have like 50 skills, and it's gonna like scan through the title and description, which is why your title and description is gonna be critical for Claude to really clearly analyze which skill it should actually use. So you can give as much context to each skill as you want. Claude is gonna decide autonomously how much information it should actually use. So when you think about client onboarding, you can literally give Claude all the information that you have, and it'll package it into a skill, create its own subdirectories of files, and decide which one it wants to use when. I hope that makes sense. All right, so here it's reading the client onboarding skill. It's reading the main skill documentation. So you can see this chain of thought here inside Claude, which is really cool when you see the actual work being done. So it's creating the customized onboarding package. It's using a docx format for it. Cool. So it's running all these different, actions, and it generated the final output, right? So what's included here? You have a welcome email to 42 clients. You have a client re-onboarding checklist, and you have a documentation workflow that covers advisory agreements, account transfers. So again, all this information, like this is going to be specific to your firm, right? So you're going to have to upload all this information to Claude. And when it comes to data security and stuff, you can always turn off training on these models, even within a chatbot environment. Claude especially is, they take data retention and, zero training on user data really seriously. So I feel like I can really trust Anthropic, who is the maker of Claude, with my data. So, and of course, when you do the enterprise, if you do the enterprise account with Claude, you get better data retention, better data security. So here you go. You have a detailed week 1 schedule covering systems training, compliance. So you want to give as much information to Claude, and your Form ADV could also be part of that, right? The more context Claude has, the better. And then you have 3 segmented email templates. You have a discovery meeting agenda. You have a retirement planning questionnaire. You have a year 1 service calendar. I mean, all of this information that's specific to your firm, like I've said, give it to Claude first, and it can create that skill for you. And so you can click on the newsletter here in the description to understand how to actually trigger Claude to create the skill for you. Because creating an actual skill is also a skill within Claude. So before that confuses you anymore, I just want you to see this. You can see here, there's a skill creator inside of your Claude account. It's created by Anthropic, and it's a guide for creating effective skills, right? So if you want to create a skill, literally give Claude your data and say, use skill creator to create a skill file for me. And it'll create a skill.md file, which is really a markdown file. And it could maybe download you should be able to download it as a zip file as well. And then you can upload it to your skills section here, right here inside Claude settings, inside the capabilities, right? So there's some extra context for you. Anyhow, so I have all the content that I need to go. It's a 14-page document. It has a welcome email to clients. It's really well written. I've tested it out. It's got a client re-onboarding checklist, like I mentioned, advisor personal onboarding workflow, systems and compliance. Now, these are all firm processes, right? This is synthetic data, but you can always integrate your own. So now that you have an idea of how to create your own skill, I really suggest for you to just try it out. Get into Claude.ai and ask Claude to create skills for specific procedures and workflows that you're using. You're not going to give Claude even a sensitive client Don't do it for any of those use cases that you're spending time on that is taking a lot of time, but you've used AI assistants like projects or custom GPTs and you've not got the kind of success that you want. But now you can have a project or a custom GPT. Forget about ChatGPT and custom GPTs for a second, but you can have a project within Claude. So for example, let's look at project, right? So you can see over here, I have a project and I have an RIA research agent that can research on RIAs for me. I can ask Claude to develop like skill sets around this RIA research agent, right? I can have the research agent have a variety of skill sets that are unlocks for its own research capabilities. I think that is what's really magical about Claude, and that it doesn't have to retrieve information from memory. It dynamically pulls these files because it's stored in this virtual machine that Claude retrieves whenever it decides it needs to go and retrieve it. So this is a really complete system to connect your workflows and processes within an AI system rather easily. So I'd really recommend you to create a project or start experimenting with it. Try to document. This is why documentation is going to be critical. Document as much as you can about your processes and procedures, especially if you're doing any kind of advisor onboarding, advisor transitions, any kind of back office work. Try to document as much as you can, and over time you can decide what you want AI to automate and what you don't want AI to automate. And so I hope this video was useful, and I hope that you have a sense or an idea of how you can actually upload skills to Claude. And the test prompts are in my LinkedIn newsletter wealth management prompts. So please subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter, and you can use the trigger prompts inside Claude and start generating your own skills and boost your productivity. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and please subscribe, and thank you for watching.